I pushed my way into the engine room with a tray of food, wondering what was keeping Mimi from his meals this time. He was a dedicated sort, taking his job as spaceship mechanic seriously, and sometimes that meant long hours grumbling in the guts of the ship. "Dinner!" I called. There was no sign of green tentacles among the view screens of the main room, and I didn't feel like guessing which passageway he'd gone down. "Thanks," grated Mimi's rough voice from somewhere to the right. "Up here." I followed the sound of someone rummaging through a toolbox to find Mimi perched on top of one pipe among many, in front of an open electrical panel. Wires were everywhere, most held aside with twist ties to bear the problem area. Mimi clutched tools in many tentacles. He was the very picture of an annoyed octopus digging through his toolbox for more. I wasn't sure which pipes he'd climbed to get there, dragging the toolbox up to what was head height on me. "Hi," I said. "Where do you want it?" There wasn't space for the tray on the curving pipes next to him. "Ah, over there." Mimi gestured with a mini welder toward a mostly flat surface on a bit of engine housing at knee level. "I'll get to it eventually." I set it down. "Hopefully you can take a break soon. This is pretty tasty. Roast fur squeak from G's Planet with some kind of Frillian shrimp sauce." Mimi said absently. "The sauce is a good one, though it's a flavor that kinda sticks with you." "Uh-huh." I dug in my pocket for a stick of gum, deciding that I'd rather not have that particular flavor follow me around for the rest of the night. Mimi was likely too distracted to care, but it was only polite to offer him one. "Want some gum for after you eat? It's peppermint flavor." We'd already had the "this is food you don't swallow" talk, so it was all down to taste. Not everybody on board liked mint. "That's the one that tastes cold, right? No thanks." Mimi shoved the tools around a bit more, then heaved a deep sigh that made him seem to deflate. I moved closer for a better look, trying not to breathe too much mint at him. "What's the problem?" I could see a wire sticking out of the mess, with the covering stripped off the end and the fibers twisted flat. "A stupid one," Mimi said. He started putting tools back in the box. It took me all day to track down where the disconnect was, and it turned out to be just one single loose wire. Can't believe how much time I wasted checking everything else. I considered before speaking. "You know you can ask for help, right? Not everybody's busy today. You don't have to do it all by yourself." Mimi waved a tentacle instead of shaking his head body. "It'd take longer to train someone else than to just do it myself." "You sure?" I pressed. "They wouldn't have to know everything to be an extra set of hands. Or tentacles." "There's a lot to know," Mimi said. "Even this loose wire takes a delicate touch to weld back in place. You've got to put the welder on just the right setting, secure the wire but not get your flesh too close, and watch through a filter so you don't hurt your eyes." "Yeah, sounds like welding to me," I agreed. "Do you have a welding mask?" I didn't see anything that looked like a face shield or even sunglasses. Not that those would fit his cephalopod head anyway. "A small filter is fine for this scale," Mimi said, holding up a dark paddle-shaped thing. "The mini-welders don't throw sparks." I realized that he had enough tentacles that he could hold a thing in front of his face and still be able to work. No need for goggles strapped to his head. Must be handy. He was still talking, warming to the subject. "Now, while I could train somebody else to weld effectively, I don't want to risk She-Ship's integrity on a rookie. I also don't want to send anyone to Eggskin with burnt extremities because they tried to hold the wire in place without fastening gel." I peered over the edge of the toolbox. "Can you hold it with pliers?" "This mess doesn't leave much space for pliers," Mimi said, pointing a tentacle tip at the nest of wires. At the depths of all those, I could see the spot where the stray wire was meant to go. I could probably get a hand in there. But yeah, pliers and the welder both wouldn't make it easy to see what you were doing. Mimi said, "Now I could disconnect a couple sections, but I've wasted enough time already. I'd rather just stick it, weld it, and be done. But of course I already used all the gel in this box." He gave the toolbox an irritated rap with the welder. "Want me to go get you some?" I asked. "Where is it?" "Ah, that would take too long to explain. I'll just go grab it myself." "Wait, what about—" I took out my gum, wrapped it around the covered part of the wire, then reached in with fingertips and stuck it against the other end. "That?" Did I get it placed right? Mimi was quiet for long enough that I started to worry that gum was bad for wire casing, or was somehow explosive around alien welding tech. I probably should have asked first. But then he raised the welder without a word, and held the viewing filter in place. I looked away while the welder glowed and fizzed. Done. I turned back to find him putting the tools away. Did it work? Yes, thank you. Hooray! I grinned. Want me to peel the gum back off, or is the area still hot? More negating tentacle waves. No, definitely too hot. I'll get it after I eat. Okay. Can I at least take this down for you? I lifted the toolbox. Mimi sighed. Sure. Thank you. He climbed down the pipes, suction cups popping quietly. That would have definitely been hard to do with the toolbox. You know, I said, putting it down near his food, even Eggskin isn't the only person on board who knows basic first aid. If they got hurt, we wouldn't be panicking because they're our only medic. You'd probably be doing your job even better if you made sure at least a couple other crew members could do basic troubleshooting. Mimi settled into place beside the tray, looking like he was trying not to sigh again. You make a good point, he admitted. But I get pebble skin just thinking about Blip and Blop rushing to adjust a loose rod and jamming something that would cause a cascading failure. Well, yeah, you'd want to be careful who you entrust with what task, I said. But they'd be great at moving heavy things, like those panel covers you had to take off before. Mur scooped up a mouthful of food. They probably would, as long as they follow directions and don't touch anything else. I'm sure they can do that, I smiled. If you need any wires cut or packages opened, Z and Trilly will be happy to do precise violence with their pincher arms. I can reach things up high and paint would make a good heat sink, snuggling against overheated components, Mimi said. That's occurred to me before. I laughed. She'd probably love that. Who needs a heat shawl or other cold-blooded accessories when you can take a nap in the engine? She'd do it too. Mimi scooped up more food. But no letting your cat in here. I know that animal likes warm things as well, and it would make the overheating worse. You are absolutely right. No cats in the engine room. I nodded. Just crewmates. Mimi waved a tentacle and mumbled something about writing up a list of training possibilities after he ate. I left him to it, wishing him a good meal, then leaving with my minty gum and a quiet smile of triumph.